Are we ready, Margaret?
We are good to go, my dear.
Perfect. Thank you. So welcome everybody to this virtual presentation of Managing Change and Transition. I want to say thank you to our partners at the Halifax and Region MFRC and True Patriot Love, and Margaret will explain a little bit more about this partnership. So here's our agenda for the next hour. We're going to start with a quick little warm-up discussion followed by some introductions. Then we're going to go over a few ground rules that set the stage for a positive virtual classroom experience. After which, we're going to get into the meat of our discussion about change and transition by exploring a few theories and discussing how we can use this information to help us manage stress levels as we navigate through change. So please feel free to ask questions, share your comments, use the chat and the emojis throughout the session. Is everyone ready to get started? Give me a green check for a yes. Excellent. All right, let's get started with some introductions. Oh, my slides are out of order. Oh, here we go. We'll flip back and forth a little bit here. Oh, sorry, my script and my PowerPoint have gone a little bit out of order, so we're going to go back and we'll do things in order here. So before we get into the introductions, I actually forgot that I wanted to do a little bit of a quotation. Technical difficulties on my end, sorry guys. So I wanted to set the stage today with this little quote from Alice in Wonderland. Can I have a volunteer read this slide for me? Please raise your hand if you might be willing to do that. This would be great for anybody wanting to channel their inner drama club person. Michelle.
I don't think I need to channel anything for drama.
No,
pretty
no.
Naturally, but okay. So it says, "Who are you?" said the caterpillar. I hardly know, sir. Just at present," Alice replied. "At least I know who I was when I got up this morning, but I think I must have changed several times since then." Oh, that's cute.
Great.
I admittedly have not seen Alice in Wonderland.
Ah,
You quote me.
yeah, this quote's actually from the original novel, so I'm not sure if it's made it into all of the movie versions that are out there, but I really quite love this one. You know, in life, and especially in military life, we experience a lot of different changes. Each of them come with their own sets of ups and downs, and they can impact us in varying and sometimes really unpredictable ways. So today what we're going to do is explore these concepts of change and transition and discuss ways that we can better prepare for, navigate through these various changes that come our way. So what I'd like to do now is a quick poll to see what kind of changes you've experienced, either as a military family member or just in general everyday life. So I'm just going to load the poll right now, and in a moment you should see a pop-up window. So I've opened the poll, and you will take a minute or two to answer. So please select any of the answers that apply to you. So you can select more than one of these, and the options are separations due to deployments, training, work-related reasons, moving to a new community, joining or releasing from the forces, changes in employment, changes of schools, or other. And when you've selected your responses, give me a green check, please.
Diana, I noticed you said we could check more than one, but each time I check, the last light goes out.
Oh.
So it only seems to be allowing me to check one.
Oh, goodness, I must have clicked the thing incorrectly. Is anybody else finding that?
Yeah, we are, Diana.
Same?
Right.
Okay, all right. So we'll just
pick your top one.
Yeah, we'll pick the top one.
Always have plan B, C, and D ready to go.
Absolutely, yeah. We're just waiting for one more response, and don't forget to give me a green check when you've finished up here. Oh, I see everybody's got the green checks.
Right.
Excellent. One answer still showing as in progress, Margaret.
That's because the host doesn't get one.
Ah, it's counting us. Okay, perfect. All right, so we will close the poll now, and I'm going to show the answers to all of you in just a second here.
Great question.
All right, it's just giving us a little countdown. There we go. All right, so you should be able to see those poll results now. And so as we can see, the biggest one that people have said is the top change that they've experienced is those family separations and moving, which, yes, are two of those big changes and challenges that we experience a lot as military family members. So thank you, everyone, for your responding to that poll. And I'm really hoping that our discussion today will provide you with a new lens through which you can view change and some helpful tools for navigating through future changes that come your way, so those upcoming deployment separations or potential postings. All right, so let's get into the introductions, and I'm going to kick these off with introductions of myself and my producer today. So my name is Diana Montgomery, and I have been with the Greenwood Military Family Resource Center for over 3 years in my role as the Coordinator of Employment and Education Services. I'm a huge animal lover, which is why I had to include my furry buddy, Digby, in my photo there with me. I'm a military spouse, and I've experienced 2 years of IR, 1 posting, 8 months of deployment, and all of those ups and downs that come with those changes associated with military life. So this session is very near and dear to my heart. The information I present today has personally helped me to find some calm in the chaos of change, and I hope that it can do the same for you. And now I'd like to introduce our producer for the session today. Over to you, Margaret.
Thank you so much. So yes, so my name is Margaret McKenzie, and since Diana brought her pup, I brought my Sadie that I got to see last week at my daughter's graduation in Halifax, so it's quite exciting. I'm the producer for today's session. My specialty is virtual training and program development. I have more than 27 years of experience as a Canadian Armed Forces spouse. In that time, we've had 12 postings, 200 weeks of family separation, which includes 1 year of IR, not 2. That's tough. I have a passion for enhancing our programs so that we can reach even more of our families with the phenomenal programs at the MFRCs. So I teach how to deliver interactive and engaging virtual workshops so that all of our families can reach this great information. Diana Montgomery is one of our students, and we're so excited because this is a true partnership with Greenwood MFRC, Halifax MFRC, and True Patriot Love Foundation. We're working together to bring great programs to our military families. So it's a great win-win-win.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Margaret. And yes, we're really excited. And as we've already seen, we've got somebody in Ontario joining us today. So these virtual programs are so fantastic. All right, so now let's hear from the rest of you guys in the classroom today. We're going to do a little bit of a round table, and when I call your name, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. As you tell us your answers, Margaret is going to be writing them down on the whiteboard. So the questions are, what is your name and where are you located? What is one thing you do to help prepare for a big change? If you could have a superpower, what would it be? So let's start with Kim.
Hi. So for me, I guess, how do I prepare for change? I'm a to-do list junkie.
Excellent.
So I have to have a to-do list. And my superpower, I would like to be able to fly.
Ah, excellent. And Kim, where are you located for the folks in the room that don't know where you are?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at the Greenwood MFRC.
Great. Thank you.
I thought your superpower would be doing lists.
No, I'll fly. Then I'll do my list when I get there.
Good.
She's already got that superpower down. Excellent. Margaret.
Hi, everybody. I like to think through the process of what those things.
Margaret, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
So I like to think through the process of the change that's about to happen and take some deep breaths and then forward, onward. And my superpower is going to be the power to heal.
Nice.
Ah, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. That's excellent. Yeah, and thinking through the process, deep breathing, you know, that kind of goes with that visualization, you know, how could this turn out and what are all of the things that I can do? It's a great mental practice for any big change that we're about to experience. Great. Thank you very much, Margaret. Leanna, let's hear from you next.
So I'm also here at the Greenwood MFRC. And how I prepare for change is I research. So if I'm going anywhere new, I like to research what's in the area, especially restaurants. Yeah, research.
Excellent. And your superpower?
I would love to be able to breathe underwater.
Oh,
it's kind of weird. But
that's kind of a cool one. What would you do with that?
I would just be a mermaid forever.
There you go. Excellent. Find Atlantis, hang out for a little while.
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you, Leanna. Mary, how about yourself?
So I'm here at the Greenwood MFRC, and similar to Leanna, to prepare for change, I definitely do lots of research about everything about my new area, hopefully positives and negatives. And the other thing I do is I make sure that I say a proper goodbye to everyone and everything in my current location.
Ah,
yes.
Closure.
It's an important part of my transition.
Yeah. Good. And how about your superpower, Mary?
I don't know. I don't know that I have any one major thing I'd really want to do, except one of the things I do here is welcome tours for people. So people are often stressed when they come in, it's a new area, whatever. And if I can, I like to make people smile before they leave me.
Ah,
that's a gift.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that really is.
So I don't know if it's a superpower or not, but it's something that's pretty important to me.
Yeah, I think that's a great superpower. Yeah. Having that ability to make people happy no matter what situation they're in. That's wonderful. Thank you, Mary. And Michelle, let's hear from you.
Okay, so how I prepare for change. I catastrophize? No. I worry. All I do is worry. No. I'm kind of a bit of what everyone said. Like Kim, I'm definitely list, you know, to compartmentalize and make my list, and research.
Okay.
And for my superpower, I would be to be able to run effortlessly without ever being exhausted.
Ah, very cool. Just go, go, go. Excellent. Yeah, and I think, you know, I think a lot of us worry before big changes. I think that's a really normal part of the process. And I'm hoping that with some of the tools we talk about today, Michelle, that we can give you some ones that you can implement that can help to reduce some of that worry a little bit and help you to kind of focus on those other pieces of change. And we'll talk about that as we go through the session today. So thank you for sharing that with us. Renato, how about yourself?
Oh, hi there. Hi, everyone. Okay, how we prepare for change is we research a lot of the community. And
Good.
you might be posted in Ottawa. Just Google a lot of the city there, school.
Right, yep.
The place, really nothing specific where we're going to be yet.
Okay.
But superpowers, to be more flexible.
Be more flexible?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, good. Excellent. And Margaret Mackenzie, would you like to share your superpower with us?
Oh, sure, yes. My superpower. So I'm Margaret. I'm from Germany. I'm a military spouse living in Germany. If I was my superpower, I think it would be to be able to multitask. Get a lot of things done at once.
Yep.
And multitask
I think that would
well.
be mine too.
Multitask well.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yeah, and I think, so this is Diana here, and my how I prepare for change, I think, is like a lot of you. I'm a little bit of a type A personality, and I like to be able to know everything, think about plan B, plan C, plan D, and make lots and lots of lists, and that sort of helps to keep me on track. Because of that, I think my superpower, like Margaret, to be able to multitask, I'd love to be able to split off into multiple copies of myself, send them out to handle different tasks, and then come back together as one person from time to time. So maybe I send one off to relax while one is handling some stressful tasks that we have to do. All right, great. This looks like we've got a really good group of participants today, and thank you all for sharing your answers. I think we're going to do a good job of kind of covering some of these in our session and giving you some tools that will help complement what you guys are already doing. So next we're going to set the stage of the classroom with just a few housekeeping items really quickly here. So how many of you have been in a virtual classroom before? Give me a green check if you've done a WebEx training before, and a red X if this is your first time.
Everybody, good.
Oh, good. Excellent. So we can skim over these rules pretty quickly then. So thank you all for logging in early. That 10 minutes is really, really important for us prior to the session to troubleshoot. I was having a conversation with Mary before you joined in. She joined extra early today, and it was smooth sailing. That seems to be the way that it works. Whereas if you leave it to the last minute, sometimes that's when our computer decides not to cooperate. So those 10 minutes are really, really important in any virtual training that we do. We ask that you turn off email and any other distractions so you can focus on our conversation for the next little bit. As we talked about, use the chat feature, engage with us throughout the presentation with chat or the emojis. We love to hear your participation in the discussions, and it's really encouraged. At the end of the session, you're going to get an evaluation form, and we would love your honest and open feedback because that will help us to improve any future sessions that we do, and bring your sense of adventure as we go along on this little ride together today. So does anybody have any questions or comments at this stage? If not, give us a green check when you are ready to continue. Excellent. All right, so let's continue along here. So I'd like to take a minute to define the difference between the two key concepts that we're talking about today, change and transition. We often use these words interchangeably, but there is a distinct and an important difference. And by understanding this, we can begin to understand how we can influence our response to change and how we can set ourselves up for a successful transition. So change is something that happens to us. It is external and it is situational. Please raise your hand if you can think of an example of a change that happens as part of the military lifestyle. I gave you a few hints earlier in the session. Is anybody willing to share? Please raise your hand.
Oh, you got lots of hands coming up.
Oh, there we go. I'm seeing them now. Mary, can you share something with us?
The posting message. Yeah, the posting message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, posting message is a good example of the change. Once you get that, the whole world kind of spins into a new reality, right?
It does.
Yeah. Kim, I saw your hand go up as well.
Yeah, I would say the same thing as Mary. You know, it's the postings and that hurry up and wait every time something's gonna switch over a little bit.
Absolutely. Yes, hurry up and wait is definitely something that we experience. All right, good. So some other examples could include things like deployments, that deployment message that comes through. Joining the military or releasing from the military is a big change that happens as part of that life cycle. You know, leaving a job as a spouse as you're getting ready to prepare for a posting. Both military members and spouses, we often see them going back to school. That's another big change. Having children, it's something that is another big change in our lives. So there's so many that we experience through military life and everyday life. Yeah, so let's talk about this transition piece. So transition, on the other hand, is something that happens within us. It is internal and it is psychological. please raise your hand if you can think of an example of a transition. So here's a hint for you. Think about your own personal responses to change. Anybody have any ideas? You can also share them in the chat as well. Mary, would you like to share? Oh, Mary, you're muted. Did you want to share with us? You'll just need to unmute yourself.
Sorry.
There we go.
I'm going to say the stress we feel
Absolutely.
after we receive that posting message and we start thinking about, oh my God, what is this now going to mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, stress can be a piece of it. I see in the chat here, Kim has put words like adjustment and reaction. I think reaction is a great one that describes transition. You know, it can include that initial reaction and then that period as we adjust to that change. So this can be stress, it can be joy, it can be worry, it can be anxiety, it could be excitement. There's a lot of different things that happen to us as part of this transition process. It's a little bit complicated, and you know, I chose this image on the screen because I think it's a great metaphor for the difference between these two words. Falling water droplet in the middle of the photo there represents a change, and then the ripples in the water represent the transition. So something happens to us, it creates these ripples of a reaction within us, and we have to respond and adapt to those. And then eventually, you know, that water will become a calm surface again as we respond. So let's talk a little bit more about this. What does transition feel like? And we're going to explore this with a little bit of a brainstorming activity. So I'd like to draw your eyes to the top left-hand side of your screens. Here is where you're going to find your whiteboard tools, and we've put an illustration of this on the screen for you. On this toolbar, you're going to find a gray arrow, which is on the very left-hand side. This is your pointer, and what I'd like you to do is click on this gray arrow and then click on a row in the table to claim the space.
Oh, they're fast.
They are. Excellent.
And I'm going to give Margaret an extra space as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Down here.
Renato, have you found your gray pointer?
On the left-hand side, it's an arrow, a gray arrow.
Yep. Top left-hand side of your screen. So it'll be just above where my red pointer is here in the corner. Looks like this one right here.
Although not quite as big.
Yeah.
If you click on it once and then click on the board, that's how it works.
There we go. There we go. Excellent. We see you. Perfect. Wonderful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. I think we've got everybody's pointers. Good. So what we're going to get you to do now is next to that pointer tool, there is a letter T. That is your text tool, and this is how we type on the screen. So what I'd like you to do is click on the letter T and then click in the box underneath your pointer and type your name. When you're done typing your name, click anywhere else on the screen, like the gingerbread man's bow tie. And what that will do is reveal your text to us.
Good job, Kim. We see ya.
And Kim, you might want to change your font color. It's a little bit tricky to read. In order to do that, you've got to look for this box here. And if you click on that box, it's a drop down, and you can pick another color that's a little bit darker.
Our box is red. Yours will be green.
Yes, yours will be a green box.
And Renato, you may want to change your color as well because yellow is also hard to see.
Yeah, WebEx defaults to whatever color it feels like at the moment. Sometimes we all wind up with the same one. Sometimes we all wind up with different ones. And the yellow and the lime green are a little bit trickier to read. If you just switch your color to a darker one and then type again. And don't forget to click away. So again, click somewhere else like the gingerbread man's bow tie, and that will show us your text once you're done.
So what does transition feel like? That's the question, right?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, now that you guys figured out your text tool and you've gotten your colors changed, is we're going to use the text tool to brainstorm this question. What does transition feel like? So what I'd like you to do is in this column here, you're going to type your answers. So think about a common reaction that you think most people have, or one that is unique to you, if you're comfortable to do so. So these reactions can be physical, emotional, spiritual, or relational. So take a few minutes to type your answers in the box to the right of your name, and when you're done and you're ready to share, give me a green check. And don't forget to click away somewhere else on the screen once you're done typing.
What does transition feel like?
Oh, lots of different answers coming up here. Oh, Margaret Mackenzie, I see you put your hand up. Is there something that you wanted to say?
No.
Okay. Perfect. Just wanted to check. So just jot down the first things that come to your mind, and when you're done or you're stuck, give me that green check box so I know that you're finished with your answers.
Renato, have you written something in about transition? If you have, just try to click somewhere else on the screen because I still haven't been able to see yours yet. There you go. Thank you.
There we go. Excellent. Good. Now, who would like to share their answers with us? Please raise your hand. And what we're going to do is while you share your ideas, our producer Margaret is going to illustrate them for us on this little gingerbread man so we can see what these things look like. Kim, I see your hands up.
Yeah, so for me, it's that exciting butterflies in your tummy feeling.
Okay. Excellent. This one's going to be a challenging one for Margaret to illustrate for us.
Nope. Butterflies in your tummy. Got it. Okay. I'm on it.
Excellent. And Leanna, which was yours? Oh, there we go. Little butterfly in his tummy.
That's actually quite pretty. If it's a transition that I'm really worried about, I get a lot of physical symptoms like acne. I don't usually get headaches, but then I'll start getting headaches. Then I got like a tense jaw. I actually have to tell myself to relax. So sore neck and shoulders. And I'm kind of irritable. Not really nice to be around.
Okay. So there's physical symptoms that come along with these changes and transitions.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this poor little guy. All right. Thank you very much, Leanna. Mary, can you please share yours?
So I loved every time we got posted. I love the excitement of change and meeting new people and getting new experiences and seeing new places. And I would get very impatient to just get it done.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that excitement and anticipation, right? Just wanting that to happen quickly.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent. We'll have to see how Margaret illustrates excitement. We're giving her some good challenges today, I think.
A big smile.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I'm running feet. Fast, fast. Move, move, move. Love it.
I like that. That's good.
Excellent. All right, Michelle.
Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't put down a nervous tummy or something. No, try to get Margaret drawing that out. So for me, the first and foremost is anxiety, you know, in my head and in my body. Sweaty, always. I instantly just a hot mess. I sleep more, and a short fuse, kind of like Leanna said, that irritability. You know, I'm focusing so hard on the stressful situation that I don't have anything left for life running.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. He's getting his sweatiness. Yeah, and like Leanna said, with the irritability, that short fuse, right? You're so focused on the change and the transition. It takes a lot of our energy, and we don't have much left for some of those other things going on in our life. Excellent. All right. Margaret, I know you don't have a hand to put up, but we'd love to hear from you.
I'm invigorating. I was focused on the prospect of...
Again, Margaret, can you please speak more into your microphone so we can hear you clearly?
Yep, sorry.
Awesome.
Perfect.
I was focused on the prospect of the improvements that are going to come with the change.
Yep.
I'm invigorated.
Okay, yeah, so focusing on those positives, which is an invigorating thing. It's kind of like that excitement, right? Looking at all those good things that can come out of this. Excellent. And Renato, can you share your answer with us, please?
The excitement of, you know, if we ever get to the transitioning, big change for us.
Absolutely.
And I do worry about it, but kids our youngest is 12 years old, and yeah, I think it's a little bit better. Like high school anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah, good. So you're getting, you got both sides of the coin, that excitement of all those great things that are coming, but that worry that comes along with it, because you're unsure still about what that's going to look like and where you're going to go and how it's going to impact the family. Yeah, that's very true.
And we involve the kids at this point too.
Yep. Oh, good.
And get some feedback from them on what they're really expecting.
Oh, good. So involving them in that discussion about the change that's going to happen, and good. Excellent. Yeah, so these are all really, really good answers, and they're all so very true. I think we've probably all felt at least some of these, if not all of these, as we're prepping for a big change in our life. And, you know, by illustrating them on the gingerbread man here, we can kind of get a good visual for what transition really feels like. And there is a lot going on there, right? I see Margaret's added panic attack, yeah, and I'm the same. You know, you get sweaty, there's a lot going on in your mind. I'm somebody that loses sleep because my brain just won't stop thinking about all of those different things that I need to do to prepare. And so what's interesting, you know, a discussion about change wouldn't be complete without a quick discussion about stress, because as we can see here on our gingerbread man, transitions often look and feel a lot like stress. Because let's face it, change, especially frequent changes or multiple changes all at the same time, can be stressful. And what is a posting if not multiple changes all at the same time? And so the good news is that there's a lot of tools that we can use to lessen these negative effects of transition. But first, let's talk a little bit more about that good old S word, stress. All right, so what is stress? Can I please get a volunteer to read this slide for me? Put up your hand. Leanna.
I always count for like 4 seconds before I put my hand up. I'm like, someone else, someone else. Okay, so stress is a combination of physiological and emotional responses to an event or situation. It is also a state of mental or emotional arousal or suspense. and it's a basic survival mechanism to respond to perceived dangers.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's, you know, when we think of stress, we often think of stress makes you sick. That's the message that we hear all of the time. But when you look at the definition of what stress actually is, I think it begs the question, is stress always a bad thing? So let's take a minute to explore that. Here's a quote from a researcher on stress that I really enjoy, and he says, "Stress is not necessarily something bad. It all depends on how you take it. The stress of exhilarating, creative, successful work is beneficial, while that of failure, humiliation, or infection is detrimental." So consider this. Stress could be positive or negative, and our reaction to any given change could possibly be mitigated by the way that we evaluate that situation. And I think we've heard a little bit of that already in our discussion today. So a negative evaluation could trigger a greater stress reaction and make for a difficult transition, whereas a positive evaluation, that sort of silver lining type of outlook, could create a different reaction. I wanted to just interject here with an article I read the other day on Facebook. There was a study that was done about stress and our health. And what they were looking at, they did a sort of lengthy study where they asked people to rate their stress level from 1 to 10. And then they asked people to let them know if they thought that it would impact their health. What they found was people had better outcomes regardless of the level of stress that they experienced in their lives if they felt that stress was not harmful to their health. So it didn't matter if they were experiencing high levels, 9s or 10s all the time in their stress. If they said, stress isn't going to kill me, they actually had led longer lives and healthier lives, which I thought was really fascinating because the message that we get all the time is stress is bad, stress is bad. So let's explore this idea a little bit further and what this could possibly look like. So consider this. Let's pretend that you are about to experience a major change in your life. Let's say it's a posting. You don't have that posting message in hand yet, but your military spouse has said it's coming. And let's say you are not happy about it. We've probably been there before. So in this scenario, you have evaluated the change to be negative. So your transition or emotional response might look a little bit like something like what we see on the screen here. Because the change has been assessed as a negative one, the most powerful emotions that you're going to experience first are going to be those negative emotions. Perhaps you're in denial that the posting will actually come, really hopeful that maybe it doesn't even happen. When you've got that message in your hand, that might be at that lowest part of the curve. You've got to move forward, but you still don't want to. So you resist. Maybe your inner voice is saying things like, this posting won't be as good as my current one, I don't want to go, I'm going to hate it there, it's going to be awful. Maybe you're focused on all of those potential bad things that could happen as part of this upcoming posting. This state of resistance is not a fun place to be, and this can go on for a few days or a few weeks or even a few months if you let it. But we can move forward from it, especially if we implement some positive coping strategies. And eventually what will happen is we will begin to open up to the idea of exploring those positive aspects of our new posting. And finally, we will experience commitment to this new state of being and our new normal. This up and down wave can be a response to any type of change that we perceive as negative. And what's really interesting about this is stages in this wave are really similar to another cycle that we've probably learned about or heard about before. If you think you know which cycle I'm referring to, type it in the chat for me now. Any ideas, any thoughts? Give you one more second to think about it. Seems I've stumped everybody. Oh, emotional cycle of deployment, mood cycle, yeah. Any other ideas? Give me a red X if I've stumped you. Got a few. Okay. So let's take a look at that cycle now. It's this one here, the grief cycle. So give me a green check if you've seen this before or heard about this cycle before. Yeah, it's a pretty familiar one, right? And I know that this has been updated, but this is sort of that traditional grief cycle that we've heard about. So, you know, emotional response when we receive the bad news. First we deny, then we get angry, then we bargain. That's sort of that resistance piece. We might experience a little bit of sadness or depression, and eventually we move back up into that acceptance. And, you know, I think that this is something that's a very common part of the transition process. And as Mary spoke to, it's about getting that closure. We need to allow space to grieve the loss of what was as we transition through change, because this will allow us to move into something new. So regardless of whether the change is seen as a positive or a negative one, we still experience grief as part of that letting go process. And as Margaret has just mentioned, it's, yeah, about having time for closure. So for example, if you were to release from the military or get posted, have to change jobs, you may experience these stages of grief as you say goodbye to your job or your home or your friends. So now let's take a look at the transition wave for a change that is perceived as a positive one. And what a surprise, it's the complete opposite of the other one. It's flipped on its head. So let's use a posting as a change to illustrate this example as well. So let's say this time you get your posting message and it is a good one. You're excited. In my case, it would be, woohoo, I'm going to Italy, my dream outcome posting. Maybe it's a, woohoo, I'm moving closer to my family. In this case, those positive emotions, those are the ones we experience first, excitement and joy. We get our posting message at the peak of the wave, and then we settle into acceptance because this is really going to happen. Now here's the funny part. Even with a positive change, we experience the negative side of this curve. This is where our grieving process really kicks in, and this is also where that worry starts to come into play. Maybe we worry we've made a mistake. Maybe we worry we don't or we won't fit in. Maybe we worry we don't have ourselves prepared enough. We don't have what it takes. But don't fret, because yet again, if we employ some positive coping mechanisms while we're in this stage of the wave, we can move into the upswing very quickly and begin to adapt to the change effectively to settle back into that new state of normal. It takes a little bit of work, but it's certainly doable. So can any of you relate to this wave? Give me a green check for yes and a red X for no if you've experienced this type of wave before. Green checks all across the board. Yeah, it's interesting, right? This is no new information, but it's a new way of exploring something that we've all felt before. Yeah, Margaret's typed in the chat, this wave is life. There's always those ups and downs and that adaptation process. Yeah. But I think, you know, I show everybody this because I want you to take comfort in this. Whether you're in the low part of the wave or not, always know that there is a way that we can make that upswing and we can get that equilibrium. All right, what is this a picture of? In the chat, I'd like you to type the very first thing that comes to your mind. Two people, yeah. Does anyone see anything different? Everybody's looking at two people. Ah, there we go. Okay, a chalice or wine goblet. Yeah, exactly. You guys are both right. It is both a vase or a chalice or a goblet or two faces. So for those of you that saw the vase or the chalice first, can you now see the two faces? If you look at it really closely, give me a green check if you can. Good. And for those of you that saw two people first, can you see the vase or the chalice if you look for it? Give me a green check. Excellent. Good. So can anyone tell me how this little activity relates to our discussion today? Please raise your hand if you're willing to share. Michelle.
One of my favorite expressions, perception is reality. But there's also other ways to view things.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, that's very true. Perception is reality. It really defines our reality and how we see and interpret things. And, you know, I like this example because we often see something first. It's programmed with, you know, what we've experienced in our lives, the way we view things. But we can see the other side of the coin if we look hard enough. And when we view things from another perspective, this could dramatically shift how we experience that change and how we experience that transition wave. That's great. Thank you very much, Michelle. All right, can I please get a volunteer to read this slide for me? Raise your hand if you're able to do that. Oh, Mary.
Attitude. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. Life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. We are in charge of our attitudes.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, so what I'd like you guys to do is from your emoji toolbar, please pick the emoji that best describes your feelings about this quote. Kim, can I see your emoji? Ah, perfect. Excellent. Yeah, so we have some applauses, we have some smiley faces. You know, I think that this is a really good reminder when we're going into a big change that, you know, our reaction is really, really important and that we do have control no matter what happens because we are in control of our response and our attitudes. And let's take a little bit of a look at that now. So this is a visual that was given to me from a former professor. It's one of those tools that has been handed down so many times that I don't even know the original source anymore. But this is something that I look at often to soothe my type A personality when I'm faced with a change because I like to have control. You know, this really helps to illustrate how that attitude and perception piece can determine how we transition through a change. So first of all, let's look at the image on the left, the reactive focus. So imagine that the white circle represents a transition. If we perceive that we only have a little bit of control in response to a change, that's the black circle in the middle, we will then also perceive that we've got little influence over the situation. What's left to fill that space then is our concern or our worry, which is really, really large. Whereas if you look to the right of your screen in the proactive focus, what you'll see is, again, the white circle represents our transition in response to a change, but this time we perceive that we've got more control. So that black space of the circle takes up more room. As a result, we then also perceive that we've got more influence over the situation, which is minimizing the amount of room for concern and worry. So next time that you are faced with a change, I'd like to consider this diagram. Focus on all of those things that you do have control over, even if they seem like they're little trivial things, because they add up, rather than focusing on those pieces that we don't have control over. By shifting our perspective to what we can control, we can feel like we've got more influence over the way the change will impact us. And this can make for a smoother transition. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about this concept that they'd like to share? If not, give me a green check when you're ready to continue. Excellent. All right, green checks all across the board. So as we discussed earlier, change can be stressful. Even when we perceive we've got a lot of control, we're positive, we're prepared, and we're focused. So please remember this. Living a stress-free life is not a reasonable goal. The goal is to deal with it actively and effectively. So as we discussed earlier, stress happens. It's a natural survival instinct that we can't always control. But remember, it's not always a bad thing. It's designed to help us prepare for challenges that we are faced with. And some of the most important tools that we can use to help us through our transition are self-care and stress management tools. So again, we can deal with it actively and effectively. Let's take a look at that now. So we're going to do another brainstorm, and what I would like everybody to do is grab their pointer tool from the top left of the screen. So click on the gray arrow, and then like we did last time, click on a box to claim a space on the screen.
And I'll add Margaret's name here.
Perfect, thank you. All right, excellent. I think everybody's got a space. So using your text tool, I'd like you to take 2 minutes and write down a few of the things that you do to manage stress in your life. And give me a green check when you're ready to share. Now, Margaret, what we can get you to do is once Kim is done, we can get you to grab the text tool and type over in the space that Margaret McKenzie has saved for you. So just take a couple minutes to think about this. What are some things that you can do to manage stress or to take care of your self-care? And remember to click away somewhere else when you've got your answers. Good.
Please give us a green check when you're ready to share. Leanna, you and I have something in common.
Excellent. It's always interesting to see the similarities and differences in everybody's answers. Renato, don't forget to click away when you've done, so click somewhere else on the screen. Perfect. And give us a green check when you're done with your answers. We'll give Margaret a second here to get her answers in as well. Oh, nice. Good, excellent. All right, green checks across the board. So there are lots of really great ideas here. So, let's see what we've got here. Quiet time to myself. So some people like to sort of take that time to reflect and think. Deep breathing kind of ties into that. Going for a walk. Oh, these ones are all connected. We're going to move them all over, Mary. Going for a walk, doing some physical activity, talking to friends. Margaret wrote that she likes to talk to her Army son. That's great. Discussing with family, exercising, laughing. Good. Pet therapy, music therapy. Going for a run. Wonderful. Getting lost in a good book. Excellent. Yeah, these are all really, really great ideas. I think, a couple of extra ones that I could suggest is promoting positive thinking and self-talk. We talk about worry, and sometimes that can overwhelm us. But if we focus on, I think Margaret and Mary were saying that they make an effort to do that with a big change. What are those good things that could happen? What are those things that I might enjoy that can really help us? Utilizing our support systems, so going out to connect with friends. Sometimes when we're stressed, we withdraw, and social connection is really, really important for us. And utilizing our support systems, whether they're friends or families or professionals, I think is really, really important. And I always advise people to make sure you're going to the right source of support based on the kind of support that you need. You know, I've got some people in my life that are fixers. They just want to fix everything. And if I just want to pour my heart out, I find that I don't get what I need from those people at that time. So I tend to go to other folks when I need something. When I want them to fix a problem, give me advice, tell me what to do. Those are my go-to people for that kind of issue. So kind of think about who gives you that type of support. Finding balance, and that can be through taking breaks, watching TV, reading a good book, exercising. We've got to remember to eat well too. If we don't have good fuel in our bodies, we don't have energy to do everything that we need to do. And remember to reward yourself as well. You know, when you've hit those major milestones through a change, you've come through a really tough problem, give yourself a little bit of a reward, and that can be anything. Buying something you've been holding out on wanting to buy, taking yourself out for a dinner, anything like that. And of course, finding time to laugh. I think that's really, really important. And I see that Leanna and Margaret both shared laughing every day, being silly. I think that's a great one. And so what I'm actually going to do is we're going to send you an after session email, and in there I'm going to send you a link to one of my favorite short videos. It's a minute long, and it is guaranteed to make you giggle. So anytime that you're feeling a little bit stressed, you can open up this YouTube link and have a little bit of a chuckle. Does anybody have any other thoughts or ideas that they'd like to share about self-care or stress management? Give me a green check when you're ready to continue.
Finding balance is so important, Diana. I'm glad you said that. And to reward yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Take time to say, hey, I did this.
Exactly. We've got to pat ourselves on the back sometimes, you know? We'd like to rely on other people to do that, but sometimes they don't. And I think it's really good to say, you know what, good for you. You did this. You made it through. Excellent. All right, so I see everybody's given me a green check. So we're going to wrap up because that's everything that I had for you today. But before we go, I would really like you to take a moment to share some of your thoughts or ideas with us. So as we've just done, excellent, people are already going for it. Grab your pointer, grab a box, and type down some ideas. So if you've got thoughts, questions, aha moments where you gain some inspiration, take a few minutes to type those down now.
And I've put your, oops, I'll just move you, Margaret. Giving you a new box, Margaret.
I've just noticed Leanna's put in the comments, I like to reward myself with a medium twist soft serve cone. Yum.
I did that yesterday. It was very good.
Did you? Excellent. Good. And I'm sure that you deserved it.
Well, I thought so anyway.
Excellent. And when you're done typing, give us a green check so we know you're finished. Michelle, would you like to elaborate on what you've written? I find that very, very interesting.
So in your slide with the I, it made me realize, so if the I is the situation, I can't change the amount of time or that it takes or things like that. It's like Leanna said, it's how you respond to it. I tend to react to things instead of responding to it. So I put so much into worrying about things instead of looking at it as in what can I control? What factors can I use to adapt to the situation?
Mm-hmm. Good, good. I was hoping that you would find that to be a useful tool because I find, like I said, that one works really, really well for me. So hopefully that's something that you can look at. And again, those pieces that you can control might be little. It might be that I can make this list or I can move this box from point A to point B. It can be just the tiniest of things, but all of those add up. They really, really do. Excellent. Good. Would anyone else like to share their thoughts? See, there's lots of great things on here. Stress is not always negative. Mary, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, I just think it's interesting when you do so many of these things. I've been around the military for a lot of years, and often certain things happen and you feel very alone. And then when you sit in a session like this and you realize that when we're putting our ideas down, so many of us put the exact same ideas down, and it's just another one of those ways where you realize you're never ever alone. So many other people think the same thing you do. So
Absolutely.
I think that's helpful.
Good, thank you, Mary. I think that that's really important, just knowing that other people are going through the same types of stress and the same types of changes and understand what you're experiencing. Good. Renato, I hope that that's a message that you took away from the session today, being new to the military lifestyle. There are a lot of people out there that are going to understand exactly what you're going through, and reaching out and connecting, I think, will be for you.
Yes, definitely. Thanks a lot.
Great, thank you so much. So that's all that we've got for today. So once you leave the session, you're going to be brought to an evaluation survey, and I'd ask that you just take a minute or two to fill that out. So thank you everyone for participating in this discussion, and thank you to Margaret for producing this session for me today.
You are so welcome. We're really excited because these types of partnerships reach out to so many of our families. We have somebody from Ontario. We're connecting with Greenwood and Halifax communities. So we're very, very appreciative for the partnership with Greenwood MFRC, True Patriot Love Foundation, and Halifax and Region MFRC, because it truly takes a village. And our families are spread out all over, and this information is so valuable for all of us. So thank you so much, Diana, for all the work you put into this.
Thank you, Margaret. It was my pleasure. So that's all that we've got for you today. So when you are ready to leave the session, you can just go up to the X in the top right-hand corner of your screen to close the window, and then you'll be directed to the feedback session, the feedback window, which will help us to improve some future sessions. So thank you everyone so much for participating, and I hope that you all have a very wonderful day.
We will also have the evaluation in the after-session email too for those that are paired up.
Perfect. Thank you, Margaret.
Thank you so much. Jen, if you wanted to stay on with me, I was going to stop the recording.
Yep, sounds good.
Awesome.